Oh man, the thing that really personally excites me about Azure Arc is we foundationally changed the game, in my humble opinion, for every developer in the world. Just imagine where all the value that you thought you could just, get in Azure, all of a sudden has been enabled everywhere.
I think the awesome thing about Arc is it really delivers on that promise that Azure is the world's computer.
It's a single pane of glass that really helps start to simplify and bring everything together.
As an IT pro or as a DBA or as a developer, one of the challenges that I have is just, getting control of or thinking about everything that exists in my environment.
Arc says, hey, you know what? By making a resource representation in our Azure Resource Manager, that unlocks all of our governance tools, policy tools, all of the automation tooling that we've built for managing cloud-based resources can now be used to manage on-premise resources as well.
I can choose containers if I want. I can choose VMs. I can choose on-premise infrastructure. I can choose public cloud infrastructure. Arc brings all the things together.
I have all these data assets on-prem and cloud, edge, etc. Are they secure? Like, what governance policies do I have? Who can access my data? Walk up into an Azure portal and create these databases, and effectively it's all managed for you. All the tooling that we've provided to sort of run it yourself, or you can build this connectivity to Azure and we essentially will manage it for you. As a T-SQL developer who's used to running SQL databases or creating SQL databases, you have this fully managed experience in Azure. And with Azure Arc enabled SQL managed instance, now you get that experience on-prem and the edge infrastructure and in other public clouds.
We've really worked hard over the course of the last 5 years to really bake this in natively into Azure. Not just piecemeal or layered over the top as a third solution, it's in it. It's native in Azure. We really extended and created Arc off of this control plane that's already powering millions and millions and millions of operations a day, nestled natively inside Azure. That not only set us up for today's environment, but also help us as we start to think about tomorrow's environments and the future.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. It's great to see you all again. I'm Jeremy Winter, Director for Azure Management here at Microsoft. And today we want to share how you can innovate across hybrid and multi-cloud with Azure Arc. And if you look at many of our customers' environments today, it's clear they continue to grow in complexity with the influx of new technologies and platform investments. I'm sure this rings true for you as well. And applications are running across a diverse infrastructure, including the cloud. And to add to this complexity, your teams are using different development tools, languages and frameworks, as well as approaches like open source, Kubernetes, and DevOps. Now, key questions I often hear as we meet with customers like yourself are how to govern and secure resources seamlessly, regardless of where they're running, and how to bring cloud innovation to existing infrastructure, or how to modernize data centers with new cloud infrastructure, or how to enable the edge to unlock new business scenarios. At Microsoft, we have long understood this reality you'd be facing, and Azure has been designing with hybrid in mind natively from the beginning to help you meet these challenges. To tackle hybrid, Azure takes a comprehensive approach and offers unique hybrid capabilities that gives you the flexibility to innovate anywhere in your environment. And Azure Arc adds to our portfolio of hybrid solutions. Let's break this down. With Azure Arc, you can have a single pane of glass view across your entire infrastructure. These include Linux, Windows, Kubernetes clusters, and database services running across multiple environments. And with Azure Arc enabled services, we're providing the flexibility to deploy Azure services anywhere, on-premises, edge, or in other public clouds. With Azure Stack, you can bring an Azure consistent infrastructure to your own data centers and run your apps and modern cloud connected infrastructure with Azure Stack HCI. And lastly, we know that customers are increasingly building new apps that run at the edge. So we've incorporated the Azure IoT portfolio so there is consistency in the developer, management, and security experiences from the gateway to devices. Now let's take a look at the progress. Last fall, we announced general availability for Azure Arc-enabled servers, aimed at those needing to get sprawling servers under control. And today, we're making yet another major step forward for Azure Arc. More than ever, customers are building modern applications using containers with Kubernetes. So with this Ignite, I'm happy to announce that Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes is now generally available and ready for production workloads. Also last fall, we announced the preview of Arc-enabled data services so you could start running Azure data services on Kubernetes containers. Now, given many of you are also looking for the need to extend machine learning to the hybrid environments, I'm also happy to announce that Azure Machine Learning is now an Azure Arc-enabled service in preview. So let's talk about what you can do with our hybrid portfolio and look at Kubernetes and machine learning in more depth as we go. I first want to start off with how you can use Azure Arc as that single pane of glass across your entire infrastructure by extending the Azure control plane beyond Azure, making it the perfect fit for your hybrid infrastructure. If you've already been running on Azure, you'll be familiar with this concept. At the core is a set of technologies that our customers use to run their cloud services in Azure. Azure itself must manage many different resources, compute, network, storage, across a global footprint. And we architected Azure to make sure that every one of our own services connects to this set of common management controls. These capabilities bring consistency across all of our services, ranging from common roles, policies, tags, logging, inventory, and much more. These represent Azure's control plane because it ensures consistent management and governance across all of our services, including the millions of resources deployed through Azure by you. And now with Azure Arc, you can benefit from 3 different key scenarios. To start with, if you have workloads running outside Azure, you can centrally manage all these resources consistently in Azure, whether they're Windows, Linux, SQL servers, or Kubernetes clusters. And this allows you to govern, organize, and inventory assets in a homogeneous way and get that central visibility, all from within Azure. This can also help you meet compliance and organizational standards through policies for all your apps, infra, and data. Next, Azure Arc helps you build those cloud-native apps anywhere at scale. You can leverage modern cloud-native app development practices, meaning you can use DevOps techniques to deploy and manage Kubernetes apps on your choice of any certified Kubernetes distro. This also reduces errors with consistent configuration and policy-driven deployments for applications in Kubernetes clusters. And lastly, you can run Azure services such as Azure SQL Managed Instance and Azure PostgreSQL Hyperscale anywhere. With Azure Arc, you can implement cloud practices more faster and consistently, and always have that up-to-date Azure Arc-enabled services. So let's double-click here a bit more into how this works. At its core, Azure Arc is really doing a couple things. First, Arc connects the existing resources from outside of Azure to the Azure control plane that we talked about earlier. Second, Arc is enabling that portability of specific native Azure services beyond Azure. For the first one, the connecting with the existing environments, we started with the environments you already had, focusing on servers and then extending to Kubernetes. This really is giving you the benefit for both brownfield and greenfield environments, not just one. And again, this is across Windows, Linux, and SQL servers, as well as those certified Kubernetes distros. The key here is we give you the choice. By taking advantage of management aspects of the control plane, you will have a better inventory of your IT assets and can reduce risk within your organization by establishing a governance framework and applying a standard set of policies. For the second, with Azure Arc-enabled services, you have the flexibility to deploy Azure services anywhere, on-premises, the edge, or in other public clouds if your business requires the scenario. With this, you get the advantage of cloud benefits such as the scalability or those fast deployments and the key to just keeping it always up to date, just like you would as your cloud solution. And lastly, and this is key here, Azure Arc helps you to adopt the cloud practices you're already using on Azure across these other environments. This simplifies the scaling required for you and your teams and allows you to use management solutions like Azure Security Center across these environments. This also really helps teams as they prepare for migrations of workloads to Azure. Let's look at some real examples of how these scenarios are benefiting our customers. One customer to highlight is Avanade, who is leveraging Azure Arc to enhance their migration solutions with new offerings for migration analysis and managed environments. Avanade saw the opportunity to streamline the time required within a customer's environment by Arc enabling a customer's existing environment to collect and analyze additional data needed to provide guidance for optimization. With Arc and Azure Monitor, data could be collected from VM Insights and into Log Analytics to provide real-time recommendations needed for migrations and cost savings. By leveraging Azure Lighthouse, Avanade could use the built-in least privilege access with their customers without compromising security while having a consistent solution across the different customers they're working with. And as workloads moved on to Azure, the same management solutions, the same continuous optimization analysis, and the same access control protocols carried forward. So just like Avanade, any IT team can now use Azure Arc with a combination of powerful cloud services such as Azure Monitor and Azure Security Center to just shine a deep light into their on-prem environment to secure and monitor any of those servers running in the environment. It's pretty cool and super valuable as migrations to Azure have really accelerated over the past year. So let's talk about building cloud-native applications anywhere at scale. And a great example of an organization who are implementing this today is Ernst & Young. Ernst & Young has a significant infrastructure across the globe, which includes 3 global data centers as well as many branch offices. They run in over 124 countries with varying regulations for each country. They turn to Azure Arc to help with building new Kubernetes-based applications that have uniform deployment and configurations, as well as an integrated DevOps practice. By controlling all their Kubernetes clusters from Azure, Ernst & Young developers can bring their own familiar tools and skills to build and deploy apps wherever they need. They organize and view all their clusters from Azure and configure them uniformly with zero-touch config. The DevOps practices they establish with GitOps ensures that there are reduced errors with consistent configuration and policy-driven deployments. Now, Azure Arc is a key component in their goal to get to one application investment standard and enable their developers to deploy and manage without having to optimize for requirements in every country they operate. And then finally, let's go over Arc-enabled services anywhere. One of the customers we've been working with is KPMG, who is taking a full hybrid strategy for their next generation AI-based audit software built on Azure. Their customers had a requirement that the software be able to run in private data centers and other public clouds that the customers were running in. Implementing and operating a different system for each customer base and on different solutions available in each environment was something that they could not afford to do given the added complexity. Rather, they chose to take their investments in Azure Data Services and run them where their customers needed them. They turned to Azure Arc to deliver seamless solutions for clients across multiple hybrid estates. With Azure Arc now, they can simplify everything through consistent operations management and automation. Thanks for the partnership, KPMG. It's been great. Okay, let's shift from how customers are using Azure Arc and go back to a few of the announcements I covered earlier. As we covered earlier, Arc-enabled Kubernetes is the latest to GA into Azure Arc, and I'm excited to show you what the team has released. Again, similar to Arc-enabled servers, we offer a lot of flexibility to you based off your specific needs. You can have visibility over all your Kubernetes clusters and applications in that same single pane of glass that you have your servers. IT teams can leverage the control plane to delegate self-service access to cluster admins and developers. And cluster administrators can then use Azure Policy for zero-touch config and partnering with the developers to build out their DevOps practices based on GitOps. And remember, we want to ensure that you can use a wide range of Kubernetes distributions and open source toolsets with flavors from different vendors. And if you'd prefer an end-to-end solution from Microsoft all the way to the hardware, Arc is also natively integrated with AKS on Azure Stack HCI, which we'll look at later. With that, I want to invite Jason Hansen, one of our key PMs on Arc, who's been hard at work with the teams on the latest release to show a bit more about Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes. Take it away, Jason.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm excited to bring Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes to general availability. Now, you can attach your Kubernetes clusters running anywhere to Azure, and this includes clusters in your data center, at edge locations, or even on other cloud providers. Now, bringing all your clusters into one place for grouping, tagging, and access control. Now, with broad support for any CNCF conformant Kubernetes distribution, Azure Arc meets you where you are with your Kubernetes investments. Integration partners include Red Hat, Canonical, and Rancher, and this Ignite, we're also happy to add Nutanix and VMware to that list. Now, Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes is also integrated with AKS on Azure Stack HCI out of the box, providing a Microsoft-supported, AKS-consistent distribution which supports Windows and Linux containers, backed by Microsoft security investments across the stack. Now, Azure Arc also enables Azure Policy across all of your clusters. Cluster administrators and application developers can author policies which ensure that your infrastructure is not only configured the way you need it, but continuously watched to make sure it stays that way. Azure Arc also enables Azure Monitor, collecting metrics, logs, and alerts across all supported distributions. Dig in and view CPU and memory consumption, explore metrics scraped by Prometheus, search your application logs, and use workbooks for at-a-glance analysis. Now, with this release, we've also brought Kubernetes Configuration Management to GA. Configuration Management helps your cluster administrators and application development teams deploy new or existing Kubernetes applications to 1, 10, or hundreds of clusters running anywhere. Importantly, you can use your existing containers, Kubernetes manifests, Helm charts, and developer tools. Azure Kubernetes Configuration Management is built on Flux, an open source component. And you gain the benefit of robust Kubernetes ecosystem and integration with the Azure Control Plane without having to rip and replace for proprietary tooling. Now, we are excited to bring Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes to general availability, including that broad Kubernetes support, Azure-based management services, and at-scale policy enforcement. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jason. That was great. Okay, let's switch gears over to the other element of Azure Arc, Run Anywhere services. We understand there are going to be times you need aspects of your Azure applications and services to run locally within an environment. Announced in the fall, Data Services, while in preview, continues to have a ton of interest with customers already seeing the advantage. And to quickly recap, what's great with Arc-enabled Data Services is that you get an evergreen SQL that is always up to date. This full automation of updates also applies to Postgres databases running on Azure Arc. You can manage data assets running on premises alongside those running in Azure familiar tools like Azure Portal, the Azure Data Studio, and Azure CLI. And you get the automation and elasticity support even for data workloads running in places where you don't have continuous connection to public clouds, or any connection at all. And then continuing with the momentum of Arc-enabled services, let's talk about how you can leverage data to build predictive insights using machine learning. Arc-enabled ML now enables data scientists to seamlessly run ML training wherever your data lives, on-prem, edge, or cloud. And with this preview, you can build, deploy, and manage ML models using familiar data science tools and take advantage of Compute Anywhere to optimize costs. All your models, no matter where they're built, can be stored and tracked in a central location in Azure Machine Learning for sharing, reproducibility, and audit compliance. So let me bring in Surya from our ML crew to show us a bit more on how Azure Arc-enabled ML works. Surya, they're all yours, buddy.
Thanks, Jeremy. Let's now see how customers can build new Azure machine learning solutions that run close to where the data lives. In this demo, we're going to look at how Contoso Renewable Energy can meet regulatory requirements and reduce data transfer costs by training machine learning models at the edge. With Azure Arc, it's easy for IT admins to provide hybrid resources to data scientists when they are building machine learning models that need to run outside of Azure. Here, I'm at the Azure portal looking at all the different kinds of Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes clusters that Contoso has running and in a number of different locations. This first Kubernetes cluster is an AKS on HCI in a remote wind farm with bad connectivity and a large amount of local data. Data scientists can use this on-premise cluster in Azure Stack HCI to train the model. Now let's switch hats. I am now a Contoso data scientist in the Azure Machine Learning Studio. Azure Machine Learning helps build, deploy, and manage models. This is the studio workspace, which is home for data scientist team. Here, I have my data sets, notebooks, experiments, models, pipelines. In a few clicks, I can attach a wind farm compute cluster that I was just granted access to by my IT admins through Azure Arc. Here on my Compute tab in Azure Machine Learning, I can configure my compute resources. I click Attached Compute, select Kubernetes service, give it a name, and then I can select my Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes cluster from the drop-down, and I'm all set. Now let's switch to the Notebooks tab. As a data scientist, I can use familiar tools of my choice to build models. I like to use Jupyter Notebooks and can begin training a model to predict energy consumption. This code was written to use cloud resources. All I need to do is make a single line of code change to point to the Kubernetes cluster that my IT admin set up, and that's all it takes for me to run machine learning anywhere consistently and reliably. Let's submit an experiment. Now my ML job executes seamlessly. As it takes a few minutes, let me show you a run I executed earlier. Now let's go to the Experiments tab. You can see all my experiments logged here. And all the runs of a single experiment are also logged in one place. And all these ML models and artifacts are saved in the ML registry for audit traceability, sharing, reproducibility, and more. Now my model is ready. I just demonstrated how this model can be trained on an on-premise Stack HCI cluster, but I could have just as easily run ML in multi-cloud too. So we just saw with Azure Arc enabled ML, you can build models consistently and reliably anywhere. I did not need to move my data through the single pane of glass in Azure Arc. I seamlessly leveraged my existing infrastructure and managed resources. And I could do all this while meeting my organizational, security, and regulatory requirements. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Surya. It's so cool to see what Azure Arc-enabled machine learning can already do and how seamless the team made it within the experience. Okay, before we shift gears into the rest of our hybrid investments, let's first hear from customers who are using the breadth of Arc-enabled infrastructure and services today.
Hello, I am Martin Ciarrillo. I am the global lead for multi-cloud expansion team for EY.
My name is Vikram Nayak, and I'm Telstra Technology Leader in Cloud and Container Engineering domain. Being Australia's leading telecommunication provider, we are connecting people together and to their devices.
EY has been consuming cloud services since the early days. That is pretty much it.
The core challenges were the diverse and disparate technologies that we already have in our data center. Now, managing all these different flavors of Kubernetes and that too at scale becomes a challenge.
Due to the data sovereignty restrictions that we have in place, we have multiple applications running across the cloud as well as on-premises.
How do we have full visibility across all our environments, regardless where they live?
Azure Arc is helping us manage our Kubernetes clusters in an easier manner. We get a cloud control plane on hybrid environments as well as public Azure, other cloud as well.
Everything seamlessly comes into a single pane of glass.
Single pane of glass experience.
We can manage things like policies or access and then monitor them.
At the heart of Azure Arc, there is a clear intention to extend the cloud services in places where cloud has no reach.
If you're managing multi-cloud, hybrid cloud environments, then Azure Arc is a must.
All right, great. So far, we've been talking about how you can leverage Azure to both get your existing IT house in order as well as build your next generation apps. Now let's switch over and look at how you can extend Azure technologies into data center and edge locations through purpose-built hardware and software systems. Azure Stack is a portfolio of products combining purpose-built hardware and software to bring cloud innovation to your data center and to simplify the way you work. The first, Azure Stack HCI, announced last fall, is designed to help you modernize your traditional infrastructure of virtualized servers and storage with the hybrid solution of hyper-converged infrastructure tightly integrated with Azure. Next, Azure Stack Edge is an Azure managed appliance enabling your IoT, AI/ML workloads, and other edge computing needs. And finally, Azure Stack Hub is an integrated system for running a disconnected and private cloud with cloud-native apps using consistent Azure services on premises. As you look to future efforts for modernizing your own environment, be sure to include Azure Stack HCI as part of the equation. Azure Stack HCI is a new hyper-converged infrastructure operating system delivered as a hybrid Azure service. It delivers enterprise scale and great price performance for existing and new applications with familiar management and operations. You could take advantage of Azure Stack HCI for your data centers, branch office, and edge infrastructure. Azure Stack HCI also supports new cloud-native Kubernetes apps with AKS on Azure Stack HCI. Now that is consistent with what you get with AKS in Azure. With Azure Stack HCI and Azure Arc, customers get a hybrid integrated solution that supports those existing and new applications. You can run your virtual machines, Kubernetes apps, as well as Azure Arc-enabled services like data and machine learning on top of Azure Stack HCI. And with the native Azure Arc integration, you can manage Azure Stack HCI deployments and workloads right from the Azure portal. And we have over 20 ecosystem partners that build Azure Stack HCI solutions, giving you that flexibility that you need. Now finally, let's shift over to the extreme edge where new solutions like predictive maintenance in manufacturing, store efficiency solutions in retail and remote asset management in the energy sector are being built with IoT factored in from the beginning. We have a wide range of IoT capabilities and features in Azure, like Azure IoT Hub, where you need control of a vast amount of IoT assets, or Azure IoT Edge for running machine learning on small form factor devices. But what I want to focus on in the context of this session is that we're building IoT solutions directly into the same control and management plane that we do for servers in Kubernetes. So the skills you invest in today, like organizing with resource groups and tags, or security with Azure Defender, Azure monitoring, or alerts and logs, and even the compliance with Azure policy, will carry forward to you during your efforts with IoT. Now, IoT is a really exciting space, and for even more information on technology and scenarios, I'd suggest you watch the Ignite featured session, New Innovation to Bring AI to the Edge by Roanne Soanes. I want to close with a great customer example that brings together major aspects of what we've talked about today by highlighting SKF. SKF is the world's largest bearing and seal manufacturing company, founded in Sweden in 1907. SKF supplies bearings, seals, and lubrications to keep all of us moving, from parts used in transmissions and axles to supporting environmentally sound industrial operations. The company has embarked on a global effort to modernize their 91 work sites so they can bring rapid innovation and cost savings for industrial solutions. SKF chose to partner with Microsoft because Azure Hybrid Solutions cover the entire technology stack, from modern infrastructure with Azure Stack HCI to consistent data management with Azure Arc-enabled SQL managed instance, and to the edge with compute and intelligence with our Azure IoT. By modernizing the entire stack, SKF is able to implement a hybrid topology that drives agility and consistency across the cloud and edge and manages costs more efficiently. We are truly excited to be the partner with SKF on their digital transformation journey, and we look forward to bringing more Azure innovation to our customers. Okay, as we wrap up the session, I guess I'll leave you with this. Go to aka.ms Azure Hybrid Resources for the latest material. Start Arc enabling your environment today. Leverage the Cloud Adoption Framework and Azure Arc with Jumpstart to really get you rolling quickly. And make sure to try out our Azure Stack HCI trial today. Thanks everyone, appreciate your time, and have a great Ignite.